Hello, everybody. How are you all? Today, I am going to elaborate the theme of blood, sweat, and tears. This is metaphor for the dedication, resilience, and sacrifice required to achieve significant goals, whether in leadership, personal growth, or other pursuits. This phrase encapsulates the idea that true accomplishment often demands intense physical, mental, and emotional effort. When we give our blood, sweat, and tears, we are fully committing ourselves to a purpose, investing everything we have, even when the journey is challenging, painful, or exhausting. In leadership, this theme holds a particular resonance. Leaders who are willing to give their blood, sweat, and tears set an example for their teams. They don't simply delegate hard work or make demands from a distance. They are on the ground, working alongside their team, demonstrating their commitment through action. Actually, this builds trust and earns respect. As people see that their leader is willing to endure hardship and sacrifice for the sake of the team's success, it's a visible reminder that the leader is invested in a shared mission and is not asking for anything they're not willing to contribute themselves. Perseverance is central to this theme. Giving one's blood, sweat, and tears is rarely a single act. It's an ongoing process of showing up, pushing through obstacles, and refusing to give up in the face of setbacks. This resilience is essential to achieving meaningful goals because challenges and failures are inevitable. People who embody this theme don't turn away from difficulty, they embrace it as a necessary part of growth and achievement. They understand that true success requires enduring discomfort, learning from failures, and continually moving forward, even when it would be easier to quit. This commitment also speaks to the power of purpose. When we invest our blood, sweat, and tears, it's usually because we believe in something greater than ourselves, a vision, a mission, or a goal that gives our effort meaning. Purpose-driven work can make even the most difficult tasks feel worthwhile because it reminds us why we started in the first place. When leaders communicate this purpose, they inspire others to invest their own effort and persevere, even when the going gets tough. Ultimately, the theme of blood, sweat, and tears is about going beyond mere effort. It's about wholehearted commitment, resilience in adversity, and a willingness to sacrifice for something meaningful. This dedication not only leads to success, but also creates a legacy of perseverance and strength that others can follow. Whether in leadership, personal growth, or any challenging endeavor, giving one's blood, sweat, and tears is a testament to the power of hard work, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to a greater purpose. The power of purpose-driven leadership. When we talk about leadership, we are often talking about the act of guiding, influencing, or inspiring others. But the question we should be asking ourselves is, what is the driving force behind the ability to inspire? What is it that motivates us to take action, to lead with integrity, and to ensure that we are having a positive impact on those around us? The answer to that question, in my opinion, is purpose. Purpose is what drives us to do the work we do, whether we are leading a company, a team, or even a family. Purpose is the why behind every decision, every action, every conversation. It is the very thing that guides us when times get tough and when the challenges feel insurmountable. The purpose is the fuel that keeps us moving forward, even when everything else might be falling apart around us. In my years of studying great leaders, one thing has become abundantly clear: purpose-driven leaders are the ones who inspire the deepest loyalty, achieve the greatest success, and create lasting, meaningful change in the world. Let me tell you a story. It's a story of a man who wanted to change the world. This man wasn't the most famous, and he didn't have the biggest platform. But he had something that set him apart, a clear sense of purpose. His name was Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King had a clear vision of what he wanted to achieve. It wasn't a vision of personal wealth, fame, or glory. It wasn't a vision of power or control. His vision was rooted in a deep sense of justice and equality. His purpose was to ensure that every person, regardless of the color of their skin, had an equal opportunity to live a life of dignity and respect. It wasn't easy. He faced resistance, he faced opposition, and at times he even faced violence. Yet he never wavered. Why? Because his purpose was greater than any obstacle in his path. His purpose gave him the strength to push through adversity, to rise above the challenges, and to continue to fight for what was right. And it wasn't just his words that inspired people, it was his actions, his willingness to make sacrifices, his commitment to his purpose that motivated others to join him in his mission. When people see a leader who is driven by a deep sense of purpose, they are more likely to follow, to commit themselves fully to the cause, and to contribute their own time, energy, and resources to the mission at hand. Now, I'm not suggesting that every leader needs to be as famous or as visionary as Martin Luther King Jr., but I do believe that every leader has the power to be purpose-driven. You may not be leading a revolution, but you can still lead with purpose. You may not be changing the world on a global scale, but you can still create positive change within your organization, your community, or your family. Purpose-driven leadership is not about achieving personal success or gaining recognition. It's about creating an environment where others can succeed, where others can grow, and where others can find meaning in their work. It's about serving those around you, guiding them, supporting them, and inspiring them to reach their full potential. When you lead with purpose, you become a magnet for like-minded individuals. People who share your values, your vision, and your commitment to making a difference will be drawn to you. And when you have a group of individuals who are all committed to the same purpose, that is when the magic happens. That is when you can accomplish things that no one person could ever do alone. It's important to remember that purpose is not something you can fake. It's not something you can simply say because it sounds good or because it's what people want to hear. Purpose is something that comes from within. It is something you have to believe in deeply, and it is something that needs to be consistent with your actions, your decisions, and your behaviors. When your actions align with your purpose, others will notice. They will see the sincerity in your words and the integrity in your actions. They will feel the conviction in your voice when you speak about the work you do, and they will feel inspired to contribute to the cause. One of the challenges we face in the world today is the constant bombardment of distractions. We live in a world where there is always something competing for our attention. Whether it's social media, emails, meetings, or the never-ending flow of information, it can be difficult to stay focused on what really matters. That's why purpose-driven leadership is more important now than ever before. In a world filled with noise and distractions, purpose provides us with a clear direction. It helps us cut through the clutter and focus on what truly matters. It gives us the clarity to make decisions with confidence, knowing that we are acting in alignment with our values and our vision. But here's the thing, purpose is not static. It's not something that you simply define once and then forget about. Purpose is a living, breathing thing. It evolves over time as you grow, as your organization grows, and as the world around you changes. The purpose that drove you yesterday may not be the same purpose that drives you tomorrow, and that's okay. The key is to remain flexible and open to the possibility that your purpose may evolve and shift as you learn and grow. The most effective leaders are the ones who are constantly reflecting on their purpose, who are continually asking themselves, why do I do what I do? What is the deeper meaning behind my work? How am I contributing to something greater than myself? These are the leaders who are able to stay focused, stay motivated, and stay on course, even when the road gets tough. It's also important to remember that purpose-driven leadership is not about doing it all yourself. It's about creating a culture of collaboration, of mutual respect, and of shared responsibility. When you lead with purpose, you are not simply telling people what to do, you are inviting them to join you in a shared mission. You are creating an environment where everyone feels that they have a role to play and that their contributions are valued. And when people feel that they are part of something bigger than themselves, they will give more, they will work harder, they will be more creative, and they will be more committed to the success of the mission. Purpose-driven leadership creates a sense of ownership, a sense of responsibility, and a sense of pride in the work that is being done. As leaders, we have a responsibility to ensure that our purpose is clear, that it is communicated effectively, and that it is lived out in every decision we make. We need to ensure that our actions align with our words and that we are leading by example. We need to inspire others to embrace our vision, to believe in the cause, and to work together to achieve something greater than ourselves. In closing, I want to challenge you to think deeply about your purpose. What drives you? What motivates you to get out of bed in the morning and do the work that you do? What is the deeper meaning behind your actions, your decisions, and your leadership? When you find that purpose, when you connect with it on a deep personal level, you will find that your leadership will become more powerful, more impactful, and more inspiring. Sacrifice is at the heart of every true leader. It's not just a word, it's a way of being that shows up in moments when no one else is watching. Every great leader I've encountered didn't become great because they sought success for themselves, but because they were willing to give of themselves, to pour out their blood, sweat, and tears to build something bigger. Sacrifice, then, is not just about giving something up. It's about committing to something meaningful, something that brings others closer to their purpose, to fulfillment. A true leader sacrifices their own comfort for the good of others. They step into uncertainty, knowing it may mean long days, late nights, and hard decisions. These leaders are willing to put themselves in situations that challenge them, even when they could simply delegate or avoid the stress. It is this willingness to sacrifice that gains them the trust and respect of those they lead. They're not above putting in the blood, sweat, and tears it takes to set the example. Imagine for a moment a leader who only does what's easy, what's convenient. Their team won't give their best because they don't see their leader putting in the effort either. But when people see a leader sweating alongside them, struggling through the same obstacles, they feel seen and valued. That's what inspires people to give everything they have in return. As a leader who sacrifices builds an environment of loyalty, and loyalty cannot be bought or commanded. Loyalty is earned through trust and sacrifice. It's built when a leader steps up and says, I'm with you through the hardest times. We'll go through the challenges together. When a leader stands shoulder to shoulder with their people, pouring their own energy into every detail, they inspire others to do the same. True sacrifice often requires leaders to make difficult choices. It may mean taking personal hits or making unpopular decisions. Sometimes sacrifice means saying no to opportunities that could bring short-term gain because they could undermine the team's long-term purpose. Leaders who sacrifice prioritize the mission over their own preferences, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. And when their people see this, they're willing to work with a dedication that also involves their blood, sweat, and tears. We live in a world that constantly pressures leaders to seek accolades, promotions, or a quick path to power. But the greatest leaders don't chase rewards, they chase impact. They understand that real leadership requires vulnerability. It's not glamorous, and it's certainly not easy. Often it means being willing to give everything without the certainty of anything in return. But that's what sacrifice is. It's giving your all, knowing that the reward is in the journey itself and the purpose that's fulfilled through those sacrifices. A true leader sacrifices credit. They understand that it's not about them. When things go well, they let the team take the credit. And when things go wrong, they take responsibility. This is a huge sacrifice of ego. But a leader who sacrifices ego builds a team that feels secure, empowered, and capable. When people see their leader put the team's success above their own, they respond with loyalty, pouring their own blood, sweat, and tears into the mission. Leaders sacrifice their own comfort to create a safe space for their teams. In moments of uncertainty, it's the leader who must remain calm. This doesn't mean pretending everything is okay when it isn't. Instead, it means being the steady hand that guides others, showing them that no matter how difficult things get, they will not be abandoned. Leaders take on the burden of ensuring that others feel supported. This is not easy. It requires sacrificing our fears, anxieties, and sometimes even our desire for control. It means showing up with empathy, listening even when we'd rather speak. It's sacrificing the urge to fix everything and instead allowing space for others to grow and contribute. Leadership, in essence, is a commitment to serve. And service is impossible without sacrifice. It's impossible without the willingness to put others before oneself, without putting in the blood, sweat, and tears needed to build trust. People often ask, why would anyone want to lead if it's so challenging? The answer is simple. Because leadership changes lives, it transforms individuals, builds stronger teams, and moves communities forward. And that's worth every sacrifice. When a leader chooses to serve, they create a ripple effect. Their sacrifice encourages others to lead by example. It inspires a culture where people willingly go above and beyond, giving their own blood, sweat, and tears for a vision they believe in. And in doing so, they experience fulfillment, not because of individual success, but because they are part of something meaningful. This is the kind of leadership that lasts. This is the kind of legacy that endures. When we think of growth, we often think of something comfortable. We think of it in terms of progress, success, or achievement, things we desire. But we tend to forget one of the most critical truths: growth is uncomfortable. Growth is not about avoiding discomfort. It's about embracing it, leaning into it, and using it as fuel for progress. This is the core of what I want to share with you today. The idea that discomfort is not something to run from, but rather something to embrace, because it's in that discomfort that we find the power to grow. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nobody wakes up in the morning eager to experience discomfort. In fact, we go to great lengths to avoid it. Think about the way we structure our lives. We prioritize comfort. We strive to find the easiest path, the least resistance. We surround ourselves with familiarity and certainty, trying to avoid situations that push us out of our comfort zones. But here's the paradox: we can never grow if we remain comfortable. Growth demands something more profound, and sometimes painful. Take a moment and think back to your most significant achievements in life. Whether it was in your personal life, your career, or any other area, I bet you can trace that success back to moments of discomfort. These were times when you had to push yourself beyond what you thought you were capable of. Maybe it was a moment of failure, a setback, or an obstacle that you had to overcome. But these moments weren't easy. They weren't smooth or comfortable. They were moments where you had to put in your blood, sweat, and tears to push through and make progress. You see, discomfort is not just some random byproduct of growth. It is a necessary component of the process. When we push ourselves out of our comfort zones, We engage with new experiences that stretch us, challenge us, and force us to grow. The problem, however, is that most people are afraid of discomfort. We think discomfort is something to avoid, but discomfort is exactly what makes us better, what makes us stronger. It's a paradox. We must understand our growth and potential are not unlocked in the absence of discomfort, but in its presence. When you're in the middle of that discomfort, it can be hard to see it for what it is. It's easy to feel defeated, to feel like you can't go any further, to want to give up. But remember, the discomfort you feel in the moment is a sign that you're on the right path. It means you're pushing yourself, you're growing, you're putting in the blood, sweat, and tears required to reach the next level. And if you stay the course, you'll come out stronger on the other side. Take a leader, for example. Leadership is not about being in charge or having authority. Leadership is about stepping into uncomfortable situations and making difficult decisions. It's about standing up for what's right when it's not easy, taking responsibility when things go wrong, and being there for your team when the road gets tough. Leadership is inherently uncomfortable. Leaders are constantly confronted with challenges that require them to make hard choices and face the unknown, but it's through those challenges that great leaders are made. A leader who embraces discomfort and uses it as a tool for growth will inspire those around them to do the same. I've worked with a lot of organizations over the years, and one thing I've learned is that the most successful companies are those that aren't afraid of discomfort. They understand that growth requires risk, that progress comes from pushing boundaries. They create environments where people can face discomfort and turn it into something productive. They don't shy away from failure because they understand that failure is often the first step towards success. When an organization understands this truth, they begin to see discomfort not as a threat, but as an opportunity. They see it as a signal that something important is happening, a signal that they are on the path to growth. I remember a time when I was leading a project that required me to step outside of my comfort zone. I was asked to speak in front of a group of people I didn't know about a subject I wasn't entirely confident in. The thought of it made my stomach turn. But instead of running from that discomfort, I embraced it, I acknowledged it, felt it, and moved forward with it. What I realized in that moment was that the discomfort was a signal that I was about to push myself to do something I had never done before. And that was exactly the kind of growth I needed. And as I got through that experience, I grew not just as a speaker, but as a leader because I was willing to face discomfort head on. This is where the idea of blood, sweat, and tears comes in. There's no way around it. Growth requires effort, sacrifice, and commitment. If you want to reach your potential, you must be willing to put in the work. It's easy to dream about success, to imagine what it would be like to be the best, but without the effort, without the blood, sweat, and tears, those dreams will remain just that, dreams. Success requires dedication. It requires doing the work, facing the discomfort, and pushing through the difficult moments. And it's in those moments of discomfort that we discover our true strength. People often look at successful individuals or organizations and think that they must have had some easy path. They assume that those who have achieved great things didn't experience the same struggles and discomforts that the rest of us face. But the truth is, every person who has reached great heights has had to endure discomfort at some point. Whether it was long hours, personal sacrifices, moments of failure, or overcoming adversity, they all faced the same challenges. The difference is that they didn't let discomfort stop them. They used it as fuel for their growth, their perseverance, and their success. So what does it mean to embrace discomfort as power to growth? It means to stop fearing the hard moments. It means to stop avoiding the tough conversations, the difficult tasks, and the challenges that come your way. Instead, it means to face those moments with courage, knowing that they are the opportunities for growth you can win. It means to see discomfort as a sign that you're on the right track, not the wrong one. When we embrace discomfort, we unlock the potential within us. We stop holding ourselves back and start moving forward with purpose and conviction. We begin to understand that growth isn't linear. It's not always easy, and it's not always comfortable. But if we stay committed, if we keep going through the discomfort, we will grow. And that growth will lead us to success, fulfillment, and the impact we desire to make in the world. We can't get there without embracing discomfort, because it's through discomfort that we tap into the power of growth. So the next time you find yourself facing a challenge, a moment of discomfort, or a situation that pushes you beyond your limits, don't run away from it. Embrace it. See it for what it truly is, an opportunity to grow, to build, and to become better. Lean into the discomfort and use it as fuel for your journey. Because the power of growth lies not in avoiding discomfort, but in embracing it, pushing through it, and emerging stronger on the other side. And when you do, you'll find that the blood, sweat, and tears you invested will be worth every single moment. The importance of empathy in leadership cannot be overstated. It is not just a nice to have quality, but an essential trait that makes the difference between good leaders and great ones. Leadership is about people. It's about connection, trust, and understanding. Empathy allows a leader to understand the emotional landscape of their team and to respond not just with logic, but with care. It's the difference between leading with authority and leading with influence. When I think about empathy, I often think about the human element of leadership, the humanity we bring to our roles and our organizations. It's easy to forget this when we get caught up in metrics, productivity, and results. But leadership is not about the bottom line. Leadership is about people. It's about building relationships, about knowing your people, not just their job titles, but who they are as human beings. Empathy in leadership means stepping into the shoes of others. It's about understanding what they are going through, even when it's hard to understand. It's about feeling their struggles as if they are your own. It's about making the effort to listen deeply, to hear their pain, to celebrate their successes, and to walk alongside them in times of failure. Empathy in leadership is not passive. It requires active listening, genuine concern, and the willingness to make sacrifices. And yes, sometimes it requires blood, sweat, and tears. Why do I say blood, sweat, and tears? Because leadership isn't easy. It's not something that can be done from the comfort of a desk or through emails. It requires us to show up every day, rain or shine, for the people we are leading. And showing up often means doing things that are uncomfortable. It means giving of ourselves, sometimes at the expense of our own comfort. That's what makes leadership so powerful. It demands sacrifice. It demands the kind of sacrifice that makes you put your heart into your work. This is where empathy plays a crucial role. Empathy is not about being soft or weak. It's not about being overly emotional or doing everything to make people feel good. Empathy is about understanding the challenges your people face and being there to help them face those challenges. It's about seeing the person, not just the employee or the colleague, but the whole person. It's about being present in their struggles so that when the moment comes, you can guide them through it. Empathy in leadership means that when someone is struggling, whether with a project, a personal issue, or a setback, your first instinct isn't to punish or reprimand, but to understand. It means asking, what's going on? How can I help? It means acknowledging that everyone has their own battles, their own limitations, and that your job as a leader is to provide the support and encouragement they need to succeed. The problem is that we live in a world that often values results over relationships. We prioritize efficiency, productivity, and outcomes. These are important, but they should never come at the cost of the people who are making them happen. When we forget about the people, we forget about what makes them work with passion and commitment. We forget about their why. Empathy helps people feel valued. It tells them that they are not just another cog in the machine, but that they matter. And when people feel like they matter, they are willing to go the extra mile. They are willing to invest their own blood, sweat, and tears in the work they do because they know that someone else has invested in them. In the most successful organizations I have studied, empathy is the cornerstone. It is what sets the great leaders apart from the mediocre ones. The greatest leaders are those who make their people feel safe, who invest in their growth, who put the needs of others before their own. They understand that leadership is not about titles, positions, or power. It is about service. And service, by its very nature, requires empathy. Let me give you an example. In my work, I've had the privilege of speaking with leaders from all over the world. And one thing that always strikes me is that the best leaders are the ones who genuinely care about their people. They are the ones who take the time to get to know the individuals on their team, not just in terms of what they do, but who they are. There was one leader I met, a woman who was running a large organization. She told me a story about a time when her team was under a tremendous amount of pressure. Deadlines were tight, the work was demanding, and everyone was feeling the strain. But instead of simply pushing her team harder, she took the time to understand what was going on. She had one-on-one conversations with each member of her team. She learned about the personal challenges they were facing, and in turn, she provided support where it was needed. In some cases, that meant offering flexibility in their work schedules. In others, it meant providing emotional support, listening without judgment, and validating their concerns. She led with empathy. She gave her team what they needed to succeed, not just in terms of resources, but emotionally. And in doing so, she inspired a level of commitment from her team that you cannot buy. She earned their trust, and she earned their trust, and she earned their loyalty. That is the power of empathy in leadership. But empathy is not always easy. It's not always natural. It requires vulnerability. It means being open to the pain and struggles of others and being willing to carry some of that weight. It means recognizing that sometimes, to lead effectively, you need to put yourself second. It means that when your team is going through tough times, you do whatever it takes to support them. It means working together side by side through the blood, sweat, and tears, because you know that in the end, you will all be stronger for it. In many ways, empathy in leadership is like planting seeds. It's about cultivating trust, understanding, and compassion. And those seeds will grow eventually into a culture of collaboration, resilience, and commitment. But like any garden, it requires constant care. It requires nurturing and attention. It requires leaders who are willing to give of themselves in order to help others grow. This is what true leadership is about. It's about creating an environment where people feel valued, respected, and supported. It's about understanding that leadership is not about being the loudest or most authoritative voice in the room, but about being the one who listens, the one who understands, and the one who leads with empathy. When you lead with empathy, you create a space where people can be their authentic selves. You create a culture where everyone is empowered to contribute their ideas, to take risks, and to work collaboratively. You foster an environment where people are not afraid to fail because they know they will be supported through their mistakes. Empathy also fosters innovation. When people feel safe and supported, they are more likely to think creatively, to try new things, and to challenge the status quo. Innovation is born from trust, and trust is born from empathy. It's the leader's ability to connect with their team and provide an environment where everyone feels that they belong, that they matter, and that their voice is heard. Well, as a leader, you cannot afford to overlook the importance of empathy. It is the foundation of everything that you do. It is what allows you to build a team that is not just skilled, but committed. It is what enables you to inspire greatness in others. It is what turns ordinary work into something extraordinary. When you invest in empathy, you invest in the long-term success of your organization. You create a culture where people don't just work for a paycheck, but where they are driven by a shared sense of purpose. They are driven to put in their blood, sweat, and tears because they believe in what they are doing. They believe in each other and they believe in you as their leader. In the end, leadership is about people. It's about making connections, building relationships, and supporting one another through the tough times. When you lead with empathy, you create a team that is not only capable of achieving incredible things, but one that is also resilient enough to handle the inevitable challenges that come their way. And that, my friends, is the power of empathy in leadership. Perseverance is not just a quality, it's a defining characteristic of every great leader I've ever known. To be a leader is to embrace the responsibility of guiding others, especially through the most challenging, dark moments. It's to be the person who says, we can get through this together, even when everything around us says otherwise. Perseverance, this idea of sticking through the hard times, of investing our blood, sweat, and tears, is what makes leaders stand apart. Imagine the leaders you respect most. Did they achieve their greatness without challenge? Did they ever take the easy path? No, of course not. What makes them memorable, what makes them impactful, is that they didn't run from the discomfort. They stayed, they persisted, and they invested everything they had, often more than they thought they were capable of. Blood, sweat, and tears. It's a phrase that means we're willing to give everything we have, to push to the limits of what we think is possible, and to keep going even when there's nothing left to give. This isn't just physical, it's mental and emotional. It's the choice to show up each day, to put in the effort even when we're exhausted. Leadership requires this endurance, this relentless belief in the vision, and the courage to keep moving forward. Great leaders understand that leadership is not about them. It's about the people they serve. The leader who pushes through, who gives their blood, sweat, and tears, doesn't do it to benefit themselves. They do it because they believe in something greater than themselves. They believe in the people they lead. They believe that the journey, however hard it may be, is worth it. When we think of blood, sweat, and tears in the context of leadership, we're not just talking about the work that's put in day after day. We're talking about the heartache that comes with setbacks, the frustration of plans that don't work out, and the disappointment of goals that seem just out of reach. Leaders must endure these moments because the teams they lead look to them for strength. When a leader keeps going, despite the setbacks, it gives others permission to do the same. It's about modeling resilience, showing that it's okay to struggle, and that sometimes the only way forward is to invest every ounce of energy you have. Leaders don't have all the answers. They don't always know the right path, but they have the perseverance to keep going. They have the courage to invest their blood, sweat, and tears in finding the way forward, even if they're not sure what that way looks like. Leaders are often the ones who stand up and say, we'll figure it out together. They trust that the effort they put in, the resilience they show, will inspire others to join them on the journey. This willingness to invest in something greater is what builds trust within a team. When people see that their leader is willing to put in the blood, sweat, and tears, they feel seen, valued, and supported. They know that they're part of something important, something worth working for.